Have you ever wondered why some family businesses thrive for generations, while others, once household names like Salgado Bakery or City Pharmacy, quietly vanish? The answer might surprise you. Many first-generation entrepreneurs focus on building their enterprise but fail to prepare their successors adequately. This isn't just about money, it's about preserving a lifetime of work. Is your family's legacy at risk? Just think about it.
Yeah, imagine this. You know that local place, maybe a bakery or that old pharmacy, the one that's been there forever, cornerstone of the community. Everyone knows the name. It's like symbol of success, right? Woven into, I don't know, daily life. Now picture this. One day, it's just gone. Poof.
Yeah.
Quietly vanished from the street. Just gone. It's kind of sad, and it feels like more than just a local thing. It's a pattern you see, this quiet disappearance. Like take Sri Lanka. There were these names: Salgado Bakery, Pudding House, Bakehouse, City Pharmacy. Big deals, symbols of local success. But they vanished too, and it makes you wonder, right? It's not just one or two places. It begs the question: what's really going on? What are the hidden factors causing this erosion of family wealth, of business continuity, generation after generation? So today we're diving deep into some really fascinating sources that tackle exactly this, our mission, to dig up those crucial insights, the surprising facts maybe behind why some family legacies thrive and, well, others just falter even after a strong start.
We want to give you that shortcut to understanding the whole picture, the problems, and importantly, the solutions. Okay, let's unpack this. It happens a lot, this phenomenon. And our sources suggest it's not just, random bad luck. There are real interconnected reasons why these family businesses often struggle to make it past the first or second generation. It's usually not one thing, but a mix.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting is how these different factors kind of work together, creating this, well, almost a perfect storm scenario. Our sources point to about four key areas that keep cropping up. The first one, and maybe the biggest, it's the lack of solid succession planning and, crucially, business education for the next generation.
Okay.
See, the founders, the first generation, they pour everything into just building the business. Survival, growth, getting established. That's their entire focus, understandably so.
Right, they're in the trenches.
Exactly. But often in doing that, they don't bring the next generation in early enough, or they don't really teach them the ropes, the essential skills, management stuff, deep industry knowledge. It's not just handing over the keys. It's like
Yeah.
you need the whole engine manual too, right?
It makes sense.
And the result, the successors, the kids, they might lack the competence needed, which can lead to mismanagement, the business just stagnating, or that slow decline we talked about. Some call it the founder's paradox. The success creates the legacy, but the founder holding on too tight, maybe unintentionally, prevents it from actually continuing.
This is a really key point. It's not necessarily a deliberate choice to not pass it on, but maybe just not knowing how or getting lost in the day-to-day.
Hmm.
So if that knowledge transfer doesn't happen effectively, what else creates barriers? Is there a cultural thing too?
Oh, definitely. That leads straight into the second factor, a real shift in values and priorities between the generations. Think about it. The younger generation, they often have more access to education thanks to the first generation's success. They see lots of options, prestigious careers.
Like doctors, lawyers?
Exactly. And sometimes the parents with the best intentions actually encourage that. Go be a doctor, an engineer. It's seen as more secure, maybe more respectable.
Huh. Ironic, isn't it?
It's incredibly ironic. Our sources really highlight this. The success that gives the kids options can unintentionally steer them away from the family business. It sort of neglects fostering that entrepreneurial spirit for the family business. It creates this gap, this disconnect from the reality, the hard work of running that specific enterprise. They might see it as mom and dad's thing, not their own exciting path. The appeal of a shiny corporate job versus the, let's be honest, often gritty work of the family firm.
Wow. So the opportunities created by the parents can end up starving the business of its future leaders. That's quite a dynamic.
Sure.
What about The personal side, individual choices. Our sources mentioned some tricky stuff there, too.
They did. That's the third factor. The habits and lifestyle choices of the next generation. This can be a tough one. Some successors may be influenced by modern life, easy credit, peer pressure, you name it, can develop habits that really strain the family's resources.
Like what kind of habits?
Well, things like excessive spending on luxuries, just poor financial discipline generally, maybe a lack of focus or work ethic needed for the business. You can imagine, right? A legacy built over decades of careful, prudent work. It can be eroded surprisingly quickly by just, well, unsustainable spending or bad financial decisions. It's like watching a dam crumble because of small, consistent leaks. The wealth just disappears. It's a painful thing to see.
It really underscores that discipline matters just as much as the initial entrepreneurial spark. Okay, so we've got internal family dynamics, personal choices. What about the world outside? The market.
That's the fourth big piece. Market changes and competition. This is relentless. Markets are always evolving. New tech comes along, consumer tastes change, new competitors pop up, maybe global ones, maybe nimble startups.
Right, nothing stands still.
Precisely. And if the second generation isn't adaptable, if they lack that drive for innovation or just don't see the need to change, the business can really struggle to stay relevant.
Can you give an example?
Think about big companies that missed the boat, like Kodak, famously. They practically invented digital photography, but couldn't shift their mindset away from film quickly enough. Our sources show this pattern in family businesses, too. The second generation might stick too rigidly to what worked for their parents, failing to invest in R&D or not seeing the need to pivot to new services or models. What made the business successful originally might simply not work anymore. And if they don't adapt, decline is almost inevitable.
Okay, this is where it gets maybe a bit more complex. It's easy to hear all this and think, well, the first generation should have done better.
Right.
Put the blame there. But is it always their fault? Is it deliberate neglect, or is there more to it?
Yeah, that's a really important nuance our sources bring up. It's often not deliberate neglect. That's key. Sure, maybe some founders are overly protective. Maybe their identity is just too tied up in the business to let go or share knowledge effectively. That happens. But many were also, products of their time. They might not have had access to modern management ideas or even realize that structured succession planning was a thing, let alone a critical one for legacy.
So it's more an absence of planning.
Often, yes, an absence of structured, formal planning. Not necessarily bad intentions, just a blind spot, a crucial oversight, maybe, rather than a deliberate choice to hold back.
That makes a lot of sense. Changes how you look at it. So, okay, these are some deep challenges, layers of issues that can unravel things. But it's not hopeless, right? Our sources must offer some path forward, some way to break this cycle.
Absolutely not hopeless. That's the good news. Because these issues are well understood, our sources actually provide really clear, actionable strategies, ways for families, particularly parents, to safeguard that wealth and business legacy. It boils down to being proactive, really intentional, across the generations.
Okay, thank goodness. So what are these key strategies? What can families actually do to make sure their name doesn't just vanish, but keeps thriving? Our sources mentioned some powerful steps. The first one sounds almost simple, but I bet the execution is key. Early involvement and mentorship.
Exactly. The emphasis is on early and deep.
Yeah.
It means gradually getting children involved in the business, not just when they finish university, but from a young age. And not just token jobs, but encouraging them to learn all aspects, from the factory floor to the finance department,
Like get their hands dirty.
Yes. So they develop that sense of ownership, responsibility. They really understand the business from the inside out. They don't just inherit shares. They inherit an understanding, a connection. It's DNA, basically.
And just hoping they soak it up isn't enough, I guess. It needs structure. Our sources stress the need to formalize succession plans, right?
Absolutely crucial. This isn't just, scribbling a name down. It's about creating a detailed plan, a roadmap for transferring leadership. That means thinking about specific training, maybe mentorship from people outside the family too, for objectivity, defining clear roles, responsibilities, timelines.
And it's not static.
No way. It has to be a living document. You revisit it regularly every few years, maybe to adjust for changes. Changes in the family, in the business itself, or out there in the market. It's a blueprint that evolves.
Like any good strategy, really,
Mm-hmm.
needs to adapt. And linking back to those educational gaps we talked about, the obvious fix there is solid financial and business education.
Exactly right. Equipping the next generation not just with basic money sense, but sharp management skills, financial literacy, and that crucial entrepreneurial mindset for realness. Well, formal education can play a big role, business degrees, special courses, but it has to be combined with practical, hands-on experience within the business. That blend is critical.
So theory and practice together,
Yes, give them real responsibility, maybe smaller projects or departments first, so they learn by doing, but with support. Give them the full toolkit.
not just the keys.
Yep.
Got it. And what about those tricky lifestyle choices, the habits that can drain the coffers? How do you instill the necessary discipline?
That comes down to actively instilling values and discipline. Our sources really emphasize this. It's about the family culture, consistently talking about and modeling integrity, prudence, maybe even a degree of frugality. Strong financial discipline has to be a core family value. It's about teaching habits that favor long-term stability over just, instant gratification or keeping
Mhm.
up with the Joneses. It's about stewardship.
Right. It's about their character, not just their business acumen.
Precisely. It's about their relationship with the wealth itself.
Okay, and finally the big one, the ever-changing market. How do you prepare the next generation for that constant uncertainty?
The last key strategy is fostering a culture of diversification and adaptation. It means preparing successors not just to react to change, but ideally to anticipate it. Encouraging them to innovate, to look beyond what the business does now, maybe diversify into related areas or even new ventures. This builds resilience, makes the whole enterprise less vulnerable if one part of the market shifts dramatically. It's about building a business that can pivot, not just stand still.
So, listening to all this, what does it mean for you, our listener? Whether you have a family business or you're just thinking about legacy in a broader sense, like passing on values or knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, it seems preserving that legacy, that continuity, it's complex, sure, but it's definitely achievable.
Yeah.
It takes that proactive planning we talked about, focused education, and maybe a real cultural shift in the family, valuing entrepreneurship and stewardship just as much as those prestigious professional careers.
Yeah.
It's not just about passing down assets, it's about passing down a whole mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, our sources really drive home that it's a shared responsibility, isn't it? A partnership across generations. The first generation needs to teach, mentor, plan the transition properly, and the second needs to be willing to learn, to embrace the legacy with discipline, but also have the courage to adapt and innovate for the future. It's a real dance between respecting the past and building the future.
Which brings up maybe a final thought for you to consider. Even if you don't own a family business, think about how these principles might apply in your own life. Things like early involvement, continuous learning, passing on core values, adapting to change. How could those ideas help you pass on any kind of legacy? Maybe knowledge, ethics, financial habits, just good practices to the next generation.
That's definitely something to mull over. The power of thinking ahead, the interplay between generations, and how both are vital for building something that lasts. What really stood out to you from today's deep dive?